Hello and welcome to today's podcast. This week, I'm digging into a topic that has sparked significant discussion in recent weeks: the Panama Canal. US President elect Donald Trump recently made statements accusing the Panama Canal Authority, or PCA, of charging higher fees for US ships compared to other nations. He also expressed concerns about Chinese influence over the canal and, quite alarmingly, did not rule out the use of military force to retake control of the canal from Panama. Let's break this down and clarify some important facts about the Panama Canal, its history, its current operations, and its significance to global trade. Mr. Trump, who is set to be inaugurated for a second term as President of the United States on January the 20th, made these remarks during a freewheeling press conference. When asked by a reporter whether he would rule out military or economic coercion to regain control of the Panama Canal, he replied, "I can't give assurances on that, but I can say this: we need it for economic security." But the Panama Canal is not just about US security. It's a story of immense human sacrifice, particularly by West Indians, one of whom was the paternal grandfather of the present Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, Gaston Brown. Between 1904 and 1914, an estimated 200,000 West Indian workers, primarily from places like Jamaica and Barbados, worked in harrowing conditions to construct the canal. The human toll was devastating. From Barbados alone, nearly 5,900 workers perished, falling victim to diseases, landslides, explosions, and machinery accidents. There were also thousands of injuries, including to Prime Minister Brown's grandfather, whose leg was damaged. Now, to put this matter into perspective, 5,900 odd West Indians died. Only 350 US nationals died. And that was because of a kind of apartheid system that was run by the US Panama Canal Authority. This is a sobering reminder of the sacrifices made by West Indians to build this crucial waterway. Let's revisit the origins of the canal. In 1903, the United States signed a treaty with the newly independent Panama, granting the US perpetual control over a 10-mile wide canal zone. While this agreement enabled the canal's construction, it was negotiated at a time when Panama had very little bargaining power. Between 1904 and 1914, the US invested approximately $375 million in building the canal, including the purchase of assets from a French company that had previously failed in its efforts to build the canal. However, for nearly 90 years thereafter, the United States operated the canal, generating significant revenues from tolls. This primary motivation wasn't financial. The canal was strategically vital for shortening shipping routes between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, benefiting both trade and US military operations. By the mid-20th century, however, Panamanians increasingly viewed US control of the canal as a restriction on their sovereignty. This led to growing unrest, including violent protests in the 1960s, particularly by students. These movements, along with the rise of independent nations around the world advocating for fair treatment globally, culminated in the 1977 treaties signed by then US President Jimmy Carter and Panama's then President Omar Torrijos. These agreements outline the gradual transfer of control from the US to Panama, a process that was completed some years later. Since then, Panama has fully managed the canal under the PCA, which is tasked with ensuring neutrality and fair access for all nations, a commitment the PCA asserts it continues to uphold. Here's a fact worth emphasizing. Since Panama assumed control, no nation or company using the canal has officially complained about discriminatory fees or violations of international law. The canal generates its own revenue, funding its operations, maintenance, and expansion without relying on financial support from any other country. The PCA has categorically denied the claims by President elect Trump that it charges US ships higher fees than it charges others. It also dismissed concerns about Chinese control of the canal, claiming that while Chinese companies operate ports near the canal and have invested in Panamanian infrastructure, the canal itself remains firmly under Panamanian control in accordance with the treaties. A related claim that Panama is seeking a $3 billion loan from the US for canal repairs is also rejected. The PCA point to its strong financial track record, including funding the canal's major expansion in 2016 through revenues and international loans from the international financial system. But overall, these misconceptions underline the importance of accurate information, especially given the potential for misunderstandings to strain international relations. The Panama Canal is a global asset, vital for international trade. Its neutrality and accessibility benefit not just the United States, but the entire world. President-elect Trump's concerns underscore the need for open and respectful dialogue to address any misunderstandings. Latin American and Caribbean nations committed to mutual respect and cooperation would undoubtedly support efforts to foster better understanding between the US and Panama. As a region, Latin America and the Caribbean has moved beyond demands like the Monroe Doctrine, on which the US proclaimed special authority over the region. The focus now is on ensuring peaceful cooperation, rejecting aggression in all its forms, and working collectively for economic and social growth. As President elect Trump prepares to assume office, there is an opportunity to build on the decades long legacy of US Panamanian collaboration. With open dialogue and mutual respect, both nations can reaffirm the principles of the Carta Torrijos treaties, ensuring that the Panama Canal continues to operate in a manner that is neutral, cooperative, and beneficial to all. Diplomacy and international law is what should prevail. That is the way forward for Panama, for the United States, and for the global community. Thank you for tuning in to this discussion. Until next time, thank you for listening, and may I ask you to subscribe to this page on YouTube where you will hear all of these podcasts and more to come. Thank you again.